Hey everybody! Me and Ken are coming in hot just for a few minutes with a really exciting miniature episode that is really just designed to get us all in gear for the new year, because guess what, Ken? This is the week where 2024 turns to 2025.
It ends this week.
Yeah.
The year.
It also begins this week.
Yeah, though. So it's somewhat, I would say, it's like a bittersweet, I guess, right? So 24 is ending. Whether it went your way or not, it is ending. And then there's a new year coming, and, you know, we could tweak it a little bit. So I think that's why we're here.
Totally. 2025 is so full of opportunity, and we are trying to really bridge that transition, right, between the old and the new, taking everything that worked well, everything that was good, bringing it with us. Also being innovative, right, trying new stuff in 2025. Right. So we have this great episode brewing for the very beginning of 2025 where we're going to talk with Glen too all about our goals for 2025, but we really wanted to bring all of our listeners and all of our Seller Club fam in to that conversation a little bit in advance so that you can also think about your goals and really be part of that conversation with us.
Yeah, so basically we're giving you guys a homework to actually, you know, start writing down a lot of things that we're going to be talking about. That way, it's going to be, you know, we're going to do it very conversational, and we want to include you in the preparation part that you guys get to put your input to, because we have been looking at the comments and you guys have been, you know, really showing a lot of good inputs and suggestions as well. And also today we're gonna announce,
well, Ken, it's our last pretty big giveaway of the year, and it is also spanning the gap between 24 and 25. So we're starting it right now today, the last couple days here of December, and it's actually going to end in the first couple days of January. So be sure to go follow us on Instagram so you can get in on that giveaway. Can I tell them what we're giving away?
Yeah, tell them.
We are giving away not one, but two brand spanking new iPads, which I know a lot of people use in their business, and, you know, it helps them be really effective and streamlined. We're really excited to give those away. And we just want to remind you, too, that, you know, we've done so many giveaways and had so many antics this year, and none of that would be possible without our sponsors. So we just want to say one more time for this year, thank you so much to our sponsors, eBay and Seller Ledger. And they are going to also be somewhat involved in the rules for getting involved in this giveaway. So just do yourself a favor, go follow us on Instagram at Seller Club Podcast, and also follow our two fantastic sponsors at eBay for Sellers and Seller Ledger. And of course, you can always check our show notes for all the details and links to things, links to our sponsors. But also, we're about to share this pretty hardcore homework assignment with you, and you can find that in the show notes as well, and we're going to be sharing it on Instagram, so just go follow us there. But I do want to say, I used to teach college, Ken, and I am not a fan of busy work, because I don't know if you guys know this, if you've ever been a student or a teacher, all the homework that the students have to do, the teacher has to grade all of it, right?
Yeah.
Which is terrible for us as teachers. But you know what? It's not really like useful to just give busy work that doesn't somehow help you exercise a skill or teach you something or help you practice your critical thinking or learn or grow in some way. So I am not a fan of busy work, and so just know that this homework is not busy work, and also know that we're not going to grade it. It's really just to help you to get ready to think about your year.
Yep, exactly. So make sure you buckle up, get your pens and notebooks and iPads and cell phones, take notes, and just brew on this the next few days until we release our 2025 episode. So Anna, let's jump right into it.
All right. Well, you guys know I love structure and planning. So we've basically got 5 areas of goals. And this isn't to say that you have to set goals in all of these areas. Some of them are probably going to sound more appealing than others to you, but I just want you, as you're listening to this, to think about, okay, what kind of goals do I need to set? And like I said earlier, if something worked really well for you in 2024, maybe your goal is to double down on that in 25. Maybe it's not a total revamp of your entire goal system, right? Or the subject of your goals, but we're going to talk about these different areas. So the first area is activity goals. And I love this because this is the part of running your business that you have like arguably the most control over, right?
Correct. Yes.
Like this is the part you can guarantee for yourself. Sometimes setting goals around outcomes is a little trickier because there's other factors you can't control. But this is all the stuff that you can control, like the actual activities of running your business. So what might that entail?
Right. So a few of the things that we have a lot of control of in the activity goals is the listing side, the sourcing side, and the photo, the inventory management, everything that really involves of the day-to-day. So one of the things that I have realized is like I'm not a very, I would say, schedule same old kind of person. But what I've realized is I actually don't like it's like not the repetition. It's not the repetition I don't like. What I didn't like is sometimes I hear people say like, oh, you gotta do it in the morning, oh, you gotta wake up early, right? And I'm a night person.
Go, I don't wanna.
Right. So it's like, like basically it wasn't the activity that I didn't like. It was just kind of like the notion of it that it has to be done this way.
Yeah, a certain way. Sure.
Yeah. So I think what I found out this year is I actually work a lot better in the afternoon. That's post lunch, post workout. So I think that's one of the tips, I guess, right? Like, when you think listing, sourcing, photo, inventory, find that slot in your day where you feel like you're the most productive. And so I think,
that's really interesting because that's a goal kind of around like your process or your schedule. But I really like that because you're right. Sometimes doing some of these activities is like pulling your own teeth, and why not find like the more natural way to do it, right?
Right.
But just for example, so listing, sourcing, photographing, like you said, just think really broadly about these as areas where you might want to set goals. Like maybe you want to do the 5 listings a day. Maybe you want to source at new types of sources. Maybe you want to reset up your photo setup, right? You want to get better lights or something. It could be like anything related to those. So that's the kind of the activity section. You ready for the next one?
Yep, next one.
Okay. The next one is a little bit more like zoomed out, not a specific activity per se, but this is all about your actual setup, like how you run your business. So that could have to do with what we love to talk to Seller Ledger about all the time, right? Your bookkeeping.
Exactly.
Anything to do with organization. It could be inventory storage, upgrading gear, your routines or processes, right? Maybe you can trim some fat off of some of your processes and make yourself more efficient.
Yeah, I think what would include there is like how you keep track of things, right?
Yes.
Like expense, creating Anna's a master of this, and Glen creating sheets for expenses, cost of goods. Because we all know we are going to feel the pain of, doing our taxes pretty soon. And we feel like, every year you always want to feel like you want to get organized more. So, this is the tactical way of actually doing it. Keep a spreadsheet, keep a Google sheet, and, just keep tallying daily or weekly and stuff like that. Organization is really big. The time spent of looking for something that is supposed to be easy to be found.
Oh, hi, me yesterday pulling
that was
128 things and couldn't find like 2 of them for 30 minutes.
So, I mean, that's a perfect example, right? Like if you want to scale your business this year, or if you just want to save more time, doing something and creating your setup goals would help you speed up the process. Because at the end of the day, these are not hard things to do. It's just that you just didn't locate it, or it's just that you have to manually encode certain things and search your email for expenses, right? They're not hard, but they're just mundane and kind of just like time consuming. So get back your time and be more efficient.
New things, new ideas, new ways of doing your processes. Like I'm just saying, like between you and I, we've been selling on eBay for like 14 or 15 years, something like that. And we both in the last week have updated and refined some of our processes. Like it is a constant work in progress, even if you're experienced. And I'm not the most experienced. I know I have seller friends who've been selling for almost 30 years. But for me, it's all about getting better over time, and just continuing to look for those areas where I can improve it, because honestly, with all these goals, what you get back from improving things is so valuable. It's so worth it, right? You're getting back more of your time, in some cases other things too. I don't want to give away too much of our episode coming up, but we're gonna dive pretty deep into all that. So okay, so that's the set of goals. Okay, the next area of goals is what I was referring to as kind of tricky earlier, and these are about outcome metrics. I do still think that these are really important types of goals to set, because they're really motivating. So this would be things like, what average sale price do you want to have for maybe the year or a quarter or a month or whatever. Gross revenue goals, net profit goals, number of items listed, your number of items sold. For me, one of them, weirdly, might be having a higher cost of goods, which sounds like antithetical, but we'll talk about that in the next episode too. Right. But anything that has to do with an outcome metric that you could measure, that you could track through the year, and as a concrete demonstration that your business is more successful, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. And, one of the famous quotes says, if you cannot measure it, you cannot grow it. So that's one of the things that I have implemented from day one in our business. I kept track of our ASP and our listed value. I think listed value, not a lot of people talk about it, but you cannot earn more than your listed value. So I think that's pretty kind of like black and white saying that's
like the ceiling you've created for yourself,
right? Like
at any given time.
So that's why I feel like, for me personally, we'll dig deeper into it, that you have to create this numbers, because you get to visualize. If you have an ASP goal, it dictates your buying strategy. If you have a revenue goal, right, it dictates how aggressive you are with doing sales, offers. So a lot of this are just not sitting down and waiting for it to happen, but it's actually it's a guide. It's a thermometer of saying like, oh, it's getting too cold. Let me put more fire in here. Well, it's too hot. Let me pull it back a little bit.
Right. I was just going to say, a counterexample of that, I've been running a huge clearance on a lot of my inventory during December, and that's why, if you've seen my stories, I've been shipping like insane amounts of things, but the sacrifice there is that my ASP is really low relatively for December. It's like a full probably $10 lower than it normally is on average, and that was the price that I was willing to pay to move stuff out. But that was a really informed decision, and it was the right decision. Like, I'm glad I did it. It's been working exactly how I hoped. But those metrics, you have to know what they mean, how they interact with each other. And they can tell you a lot. They can be a really helpful, so that you don't get to the end of the year and just look back on your business and go, what happened this year? How did this happen? You should be able to see it along the way through those types of metrics, at least. And that's just, a very surface level look at your business, but it's still helpful to track. Okay.
Exactly.
Next is another area which we all love. We love having mindset episodes on this podcast, but I'm just going to generally call it this personal growth. So maybe this could include some more, some kind of more vague concepts, but like having more purpose in your work, giving better customer service, kind of more about who you are as a person showing up to your work and your business. Maybe you want to master a niche or a certain platform, or you want to end up having more free time, and that has to do with optimizing things or whatever. Anything that's all about kind of you personally growing and your experience of your business too.
Yeah, so how I look at it is, to become a better businessman, you have to become a better person. So investing time and possibly sometimes money to yourself will affect your performance as a business person, as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a friend, as a husband, as a wife, or as a son or daughter. So I think this is very important, because without this, we're all chasing empty dreams, because at the end of the day, right, you gotta have you gotta find a deeper meaning and reason why we do what we do. So I think this is very key, and we've talked about in the podcast, where I I got an aquarium. I found a new hobby.
Yeah.
I went crazy on working out this year, working on fitness, and those are things that made me and helped me source better, because now I can walk probably faster or longer or more steps. So stamina in sourcing helped me. So I think it overflows in the work that we do. So I think this is one of the most important part here.
Yeah, and whether you want a better performance of your business or a better experience of running your business, because it's your life.
Exactly.
Either way, personal growth is going to be a huge part of that. And then finally, the last area is really pretty simple. It's all about community. I know the number one thing I've heard from other sellers the whole time that I've been a seller online is that it's really isolative, right? Or isolating. And we tend to work alone, which, I mean, I like working alone most of the time, right? But after a while, you're like, oh no, I'm talking to the inventory, right? And you get in your own thought patterns, and you get stuck in your own loops. So community has been just a total game changer for me. That's a huge reason why I was so excited about starting this podcast in the first place. And we just obviously can't sing the praises of community enough, but there are so many ways to get involved. And even if you make a 1% improvement on your community participation or interest, it's going to pay dividends. So think about that. Ken, what are some ways people can get involved in community that you can think of off the top of your head?
I think the biggest thing is really trying to find friends and through social media. I think that's one of the things that I can speak about, because we all met a lot of our reseller friends through social media.
True.
So I think that's one way to get connected. And I always tell everybody, it's don't be afraid to share your journey, because you don't know who you're inspiring. And I think that's one of the most fulfilling things for me and JC in the community, is because we've documented a journey from the beginning. Now we get to cheer on other people that are on their own journey as well. And some of them were inspired because of our journey. So I think those are pretty cool feeling, right? Those are things that money can't buy, and that the community can provide. And the community is going to be there through ups and downs, and helping you stay informed, correct you if you're wrong, at the same time cheer you on if you're winning.
Yeah, totally. I love that. I've heard a couple of fun stories throughout this year of friends of mine who are sellers that I mostly know from social media too, but who have met other resellers out in the wild while they're sourcing and then become friends. And I think that's great too.
That's super cool.
That's so random, but unless you're open to that, it definitely won't happen, Yeah. It's you have to be willing to make a comment or have that conversation when you see somebody else in the thrift store who's definitely a reseller. Look at what's in their cart. Of course they are,
Yeah.
So anyway, community is the last area. So Ken, as you well know, we've been doing 12 days of giveaways. That was our 12 days of Seller Club this year. We've done all these giveaways. It's been really fun. But one particular post that was all about community got so many great comments. I just wanted to share some of those comments here, because I think it will help our listeners to think about what they learned or what they took away from 2024 and kind of in turn help inform how they're thinking about these areas of possible goals for themselves. So, and you have the list also, so we can just kind of ping pong and read
let me
some
start
of these
off
comments.
with Sneaks and Kicks CA. He shared, best lesson I've learned as a seller is to be in the moment. Reselling is an emotional roller coaster and should always approach each moment as it demands. So I think that's pretty cool. A lot of times I have to remind myself to take the emotion out of it and just be more logical, because roller coaster it is for sure.
It definitely is. Collins on the Move is another really fun follow if you haven't followed her, but she said the best lesson I've learned this year is to take time to talk to other resellers. My friends in this space are amazing, and I could not have kept my sanity this year without them, and I have to second that, honestly.
Yep. And Catbox4 says, just start, do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You will make mistakes along the way, but learn and grow and evolve your business. I think Kat just mentioned the recipe of how to become successful in business and life. Make mistakes, learn, grow, evolve. That's it.
Love it. Another one I loved was from Activate Hustle Mode. No matter what, be positive and keep positive people in your life. Negative people, not so much.
Yeah, they stay in 24. Don't bring them in 25.
Yeah, now's your chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
David's Resell says, quality over quantity, making sure the items I source are actually wanted by customers. I think this is a very cool comment, because this is how I source. It don't matter how cool I think the product is, it's what the completed and sold listings want on eBay. So do your research.
Come on.
Don't get carried away.
Yeah. We can share a few more of these. Carolina Girl Eclectic, my friend Lisa, said just one simple word: consistency. And I know Glenn would agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yep.
Consistency.
Or you could say Glenn, hustler hack.
Right. It's a synonym for consistency at this point.
Exactly. Snack Cyclone says, a neutral feedback. We're commenting about feedback. Neutral doesn't count against your feedback score. Just move past those. Even if they're unfair, don't let them get to you. Exactly. Nobody's perfect. So 99.9% it is.
I need to know Snack Cyclone's favorite snacks. What a name.
Exactly.
I love that. Well, there are a bunch more great comments on this this post. It was like one of our giveaway posts in the last few days here. But I just want to say one more that was to keep going, because that's what we're all doing going into 2025. We're going to keep going. And honestly, I love these comments too, because it shows what an awesome community we actually have. Even just like the kind of Instagram world side of a podcast, like, you know, the podcast mostly happens on the air, but we have this great community developing over here on Instagram where we really get to talk to each other and hear from each other. And I thought so many of these were so insightful. We didn't even mention all of them. Right. But definitely, if you don't have a community, start with ours. Like, you're here already. Come be part of it. So we invite you. You are totally invited. So we're happy to have you here with us at the Seller Club. And please do meet us back here on the air next week with your own goals in mind. And Ken, you and I and Glenn are going to drill down into our goals for 2025.
Exactly. We will see you next week. Happy New Year.